There's a reason this is my favorite coffee. Hello everyone, welcome back to the next installment of Johnny Americano. This is part 4 and we've got something extra special for you today. Not only are we in another mystery location, not only do we have some awesome decorations, a different mug out, but we're also going to be talking about a really great cause, one of my good friends, and maybe a way that you can support them. But first, let's get to the coffee. Today we are taking a look at some family-owned, family-grown, family-roasted coffee from a little town called San Raimundo in Guatemala. And San Raimundo is a wonderful little community I've been able to spend some time in over the years. Probably have made well, more than a few trips back and forth there. So Guatemala has a special place in my heart, and this coffee has a special place in my heart as well. And so even though I can't give you a brand for this coffee or tell you where you might even be able to purchase some, I'll tell you the story of how I got my hands on it, and we're going to have it together. We're going to talk about the brewing method today, which maybe some of those snobs out there, shout out to the snobs, wouldn't approve of. But let's start with the coffee. So the coffee comes from this family-owned plantation in Guatemala. It was roasted by them, and then it was brought to the States by a friend of mine named Molly. And Molly was selling coffee beans for a fundraiser for a school that she is opening for girls in Guatemala. And so this coffee is Central American, medium light roast to the core. The aromatics are just crazy on it. It's super delicious. As soon as you crack the bag open, you can smell it. As soon as you put it in the grinder and you start smelling the ground up flavor of those beans, and then as it was brewing, man, the smell just took you right there. This is a special little Guatemala McDonald's McCafe coffee mug that I've got my hands on from one of the trips I was down there. They were doing a little offer at the McDonald's in Antigua, Guatemala. So that's what we're dealing with. And I'll tell you what, we ran it through a Keurig today. And a Keurig basically takes out all of these sort of adjustments you can make if you're brewing at home. You grind it up, you throw it into a little container, put it in the Keurig machine, and then you just press a button and it brews the coffee for you. You do get the consistency of a machine doing some of that work for you. And so for those of us that are not coffee snobs or don't have a lot of practice with some of those coffee brewing methods out there, or simply just aren't that good at it, Keurig is a pretty nice way to go to get a good solid cup of coffee. So that's what we did to get this stuff. And I'm just going to get right into it because I can't just sit here and smell it without tasting it. So. Oh, it is so good. It's so good. This is just one of the most positive experiences, flavors I've ever had when it comes to coffee. And so I highly recommend, if you ever are in the store and you see a 100% Guatemalan roast, or you're at a coffee shop and they've got 100% Guatemalan beans for sale, maybe a half pound or a pound, highly recommend purchasing some, grinding it up, or maybe even just getting it ground and trying it. It's a totally unique flavor profile, especially among sort of the Caribbean, Central American countries, at least in my opinion, in my experience. I feel like you can taste the difference between even just the subtle differences of the subtle regional changes. And Guatemala is always by far been my favorite. Maybe there's a little bit of sentimental bias there, but what can I say? And I'm so excited to share this with you guys. Before I get too lost in the coffee, though, I do want to talk a little bit about how I got my hands on this and who Molly is. And she's a friend of mine who's opening a girls' school in the rural hills of Guatemala, in the mountains. And you can read more about the story she tells as to what the needs are of that community and why it's so important for them to have a school there. But I can tell you that it's a desperate need, and it's an incredible opportunity for the local girls there in Guatemala who would otherwise have almost no chance at receiving an education, and without an education they wouldn't have really any chance at building a living for themselves. And many of them are coming out of extremely dangerous and disadvantaged situations. Molly is locating herself full-time in Guatemala and becoming a member of that community. She already is a member of that community, and truly investing in that community so that it might be able to improve overall through the education of these girls. Now she's partnered with an organization called Ceiba, Vida International, but she left Guatemala a few months ago, about a month ago, to do some fundraising for her school because she's opening in January of 2021. That date was picked out before the pandemic, before the restrictions, and so they're sticking to their timeline. They've got property, they've got school teachers hired. Molly is traveling the United States right now, fundraising for her school, and I'm going to ask you just to check out the story that she has, follow her on social media. This is an example of Guatemalan textiles, and actually she's doing a fundraiser where she's selling masks with hand embroidered and hand sewn masks made of similar textile to this, and you can follow that. Check it out on Instagram, she's got a shop for it. And so I know this is a coffee video, but it came from a special friend who's doing an incredible personal mission to make the world a better place and to participate in the betterment of the people that God has put in her path in life. And so I just encourage you to pray for her, encourage her, and if it's an opportunity that you have, it's a possibility for you, maybe donate to her cause. And down the road, who knows, if she does another coffee fundraiser, I hope that you're able to get your hands on something as delicious as this. It is full in flavor, and yet it's not bitter. It's got a gentle chocolatey taste underlying everything. That's sort of the flavor profile behind why I like it so much. Also, just because of the friends and experiences I've had in Guatemala, it's a special place in my heart, and the coffee only makes it that much better. So this is Johnny Americano taking a trip around the Central American crescent with you today.